Hello friends, Namaskar. I am Jaideep Sharma from School of Social Sciences, and today we'll be discussing two very important aspects of Masters of Library and Information Science MLIS, two compulsory courses. One is the project and the other is internship. Project we have been having since quite long. Internship we have started just 1 year ago. These are some courses wherein the student gets a chance to show his or her creativity and works alongside a supervisor, and therefore it's a creative work wherein two sets of people are involved. It is unlike, both are unlike other courses that are there, and therefore we need to have a discussion and really utilize the opportunity that has been given to us while these courses have been designed. We'll start from the what of these two, why and how. So starting with introducing the concepts, we'll move on to why these two courses have been there as part of your curriculum, and also then we'll go on to the operationalities, the operational details of these two courses. Because in the other courses that we have, the students that the other courses that they face, they find that there is a defined syllabus, there is course material, there is the self learning material that is available to them, and the course has been organized into blocks, units, subunits, and they start reading it and they come to know the things about it as they go on, move on, going through the different courses. But these two courses are different from them. You have a little bit of introductory material about them. You have the project guide, you have the internship guide that is available on the EGNOU course, but then it is there it is there available to you to be critically thinking about these things. It is more of doing. It is more of doing by doing and learning. In fact, you can also say the other way around. It is learning and doing, and also doing and learning. Both ways it is there. It gives you a chance to show your creativity. A lot of critical thinking skills have to go into it while you work on these two courses. And because it is so, we have made both these courses compulsory. And both these courses are of 4 credits each. Whether you talk of project or you talk of internship, both are of 4 credits, means you need to devote 120 study hours. So I just wanted to tell you about this just to show the importance of these two courses, because at times it has been seen that students take these courses either very lightly or they really are confused about these two courses, that what are these courses? They have not heard about these courses, though in different names, by different nomenclature, they have already worked on these two, and you will come to know about this, why I am saying this in a little bit from now. Now, what is a project? You know, it is an application of what you have learned in the different courses. It is something that has been provided to you to show the application of skills that you have learned. You all know that you have different courses right from MLI 101 going up to MLII 104. You have the core courses and optional courses. You have 6 core courses and 2 optional courses. You also know that every course in MLIS has either a seminar component or a practical component. So already the courses have been so designed to enable you to put your critical thinkings therein, critical thinking skills therein, and work towards some practical applications of the knowledge that you have gained, either in the form of a practical or doing a seminar. So this is an inbuilt component of every course. Besides these two courses go a step further, a step ahead. In the project, you think of a problem and you think of a solution to that problem. Now let us go further ahead. What it is. When you talk of the project, why should you have a project? Because students first of all think that there is no course material. What is it that we have to do here? So it actually, why we have introduced the project is to enable you to develop research skills. You are able to solve research problems. You think of a problem and you come to the solution of a problem. You develop writing skills, you develop critical thinking skills, you develop critical ability to apply multidisciplinary concepts, tools and techniques to approach that problem. You are also able to recognize the problems of libraries, information centers, knowledge centers and other similar organizations. So see how important a role that has been assigned to you, how important it is, an activity which prepares you to further research in the domain of library and information science. Now, going further into why you should be doing a project is, it helps you to translate your knowledge and skills into reality, giving them a practical shape. And while doing so, it helps you to evaluate yourself, evaluate your learning, how you have been able to learn, how much you have been able to learn, and also to train yourself for further pursuits in the profession. So this is in a way preparing you to enter the profession, because once you have done your bachelor's degree, master's degree, you are eligible to enter the profession as a professional. And therefore, though all the courses are there to impart knowledge, skills and training, but these two particular courses that we have introduced, the project and internship, it's a culmination of your learning into finally giving a shape of that learning into a product. That is a project, or otherwise internship also is in a way like that. Now let us go quickly into the learning objectives of a project that is there. It helps you to prepare yourself to undertake a project in future, undertake a research in future. You can't think of libraries without information communication technology. So while doing such a project, you are able to apply ICT in the operations and services of a library. And you are also able to visualize new services out of this, because you have been trained into it. You have already undergone such a practice, such an experience, which helps you to design new services which may be also ICT enabled, which is the requirement of the day. You are able to also, you are trained into research, you are able to identify a problem, you are able to prepare a proposal, you are able to handle that proposal, you are able to understand how to collect data, how to analyze data, and how to present it in the form of a report. Now let us come to the how of the project. Till now we have understood what is a project. We have also understood why should we be doing a project, why is it part of a curriculum, and why is it a compulsory course. And now we'll go into the operational details. Since you are to do this course, how will you go about doing it? That is the operational details. The very first thing in the project, as I told you, that it is a joint work, it is a collaborative work. You need to have a supervisor for you. And generally students come to us, I am not getting a supervisor. So first of all, you should know this person who is going to act as supervisor for you, what should be the qualifications of the supervisor. It is generally a person having a working experience of at least 2 years as an assistant professor, or assistant professor in University Grants Commission grade, or could be a librarian working in the same grade at least for 2 years. It could be a person having PhD in library information science, or technical qualifications with an experience of library information science. At times people take a guide, a supervisor who may be a BTech, MTech, or some such qualifications but does not have an exposure in libraries, working in library settings, then that person may not be really able to help you as a supervisor. Therefore, it is very important that please take care that such person should be having that exposure, should be able to really understand the problems so that he can really supervise you, guide you. Therefore, please take care that this has to be followed. Now supervisors are done. The next point is you have to think of a project, and for that you have to think of a topic. Once you have thought of a topic, I'll go into the details of how to come to the topic also. You have to formulate a proposal or synopsis, as we say, and in the synopsis you prepare a blueprint of your project, how you are going to work on your project, and then you undertake the project as per the proposal. As you prepare a map while you build a structure, or you otherwise plan also for any project, similarly for this project also, for which you are working on, finally you will be able to come out with a dissertation on the topic. It is just the beginning of that you have prepared a proposal or a synopsis in consultation with the supervisor, and therefore that is important. Now, what sort of topic? What areas can you think of as topics for your project? It could be analysis or critical study of an existing system or an operation or a service. Please take care that when you work on such an area, it should be a critical study. At times people just describe such settings, such already existing systems. Description is just the first part of it. Therefore, please take care that when you choose such a topic, it should be an analysis or a critical study. Or you can also even think going a step further, that you can design such a system or a prototype of such a service or a product on a small scale. Maybe that is a byproduct of your project that could be a little innovative on your part. So please take care that it should not be merely a description. It should be some application of some sort if you can do it. You can also design or develop an information system or a user interface or an information service. Or you can do a inter-institutional study. You may be comparing two systems. You may be comparing two information centers. You may be comparing the services of two libraries or two similar products or two such services. Mind you, this project is for 100 hours. You have to devote 100 marks. You have to devote 120 hours for the 4-credit course. It carries 100 marks. Therefore, you can very well imagine how much work you have to do it in it, and that you have to take care. It could be a comprehensive case study also. Could be a case study for an institution, for an individual. That depends that this individual you are choosing is really worth doing a case study on that individual. It could be a descriptive research. It could be a survey based research. It could be survey of literature also. But please be careful, if you just do a study which is based on a survey of literature, you need to cover a comprehensive literature on that area. You should do an exhaustive study covering all aspects of that area that you choose, and you should have the skills of analyzing that literature and then preparing a report out of that analysis, and for that you need to be trained for that. Maybe you have opted for some such course, like we have optionals like research methodology. We also have an optional on technical writing, and also our course even at bachelor's level, the BLI 228 information products and services, where we train you on designing such products and services. Therefore, such study on these courses may help you to work on these. Then you can also do a user survey of some library or information institution, and that could be empirical research that you do. Or you can also do survey of literature in a particular area. It could be a bibliometric study also. You may do a study like, say, on information literacy, and also you can think of comparing websites of different institutions. You do a critical study of a software, but then you please see that at times students do some such studies, but what they do go to the websites of these softwares and just write the features of the software. No, it has to be a critical study. And for that, if you happen to work with a supervisor who is involved in some such work, then you can learn with that supervisor and prepare such a project. Basically, this project, as I told you, it helps you to work further in the profession. Therefore, if you choose such a supervisor who is already working in the area of that software, then you can be working with the supervisor and have a overall view of that software, go deep into it, do a critical study, maybe suggest areas for improvement, may also prepare a byproduct out of that study, and then you can justify, yes, that study can be done. Maybe you can do a study on the use of opaque of some libraries or of some networks or any such thing, because that could also be a study. So these are some tentative areas, some illustrative list of some topics that you can choose. You should not limit yourself to these areas only. So please be sure, because at times when we give lists to our students, we have generally observed that our students limit to such areas only. Therefore, this is just to help you think what areas in which you can work. You just explore more such areas. You think of more such areas, and for that, how you really come to know what are the other areas. I will discuss that also. Like I have also thought, I have given a thought, what is the basis of coming out with such topics or some areas? It is the literature that helps us. So you please make it a habit to scan literature, to scan different types of resources, study the existing the research studies that have been done, study the existing systems, procedures, routines, attend conferences, see and discuss with fellow professionals, and see what are the areas that need attention, what are the areas where there are gaps, what are the areas that demand research, that the areas where you need to do research. So how do you come to know of quality literature that is available? Since you have already studying the course material that we have provided to you, think of the subject which really fascinates you, or the subject that you feel you are very comfortable in, or the subject where you need to go further into it and study it more. That is one's individual choice. So if one is doing project in a particular area, does not mean that you should also do project in that area only. It is a personal specific choice on which one wants to work. So while you think of a supervisor, as I told you earlier, what should be the qualifications of a supervisor? So before meeting the supervisor, you think about it yourself. You talk to yourself, you do all these steps. What are these steps? Study literature, scan literature. Before that, think of an area on which you want to work. And while scanning the literature, you come across some areas, some sub-areas, some themes, sub-themes. You note it down with you, and also think of tentatively how you want to work on them. You have some questions in mind, you have some procedures in mind, and then you go and visit the supervisor and tell the supervisor that this is what is in my mind. This is the area on which I want to work on. And then the supervisor will be happy to accept you as a student, because generally our students say people are not ready to take it, because one of the reasons for that is professionals are otherwise busy. If you show them your worth, if you show them, yes, you are prepared to work in that area, if you tell them, yes, you are capable for that, and for that, if you have done this base work that is required, the spade work that is required, I think this will give you the benefit, and you will get a person as your supervisor. Now this proposal that you have to prepare, this proposal, as I was telling you, is a blueprint. It is a step-by-step guide of what you will be doing, how will you be doing, why you will be doing, starting from the initial stage to the final stage of your project. You prepare this synopsis or proposal. starting with the title, you have to give everything. Starting with the title, you give an introduction. You give a statement of the problem. You write down the research questions that are in your mind. What are these research questions? The questions that you have in your mind to which you want to find answers while doing your project or your research. You may be having one or two hypotheses which is not always there, but in case it is there, you may also have hypotheses. Then what are the objectives of your research? You have to write down a few objectives, 3, 4, 5 objectives. These should be very clearly written in very systematic way. In simple words, you have to write these objectives. The scope that is there of your project, the geographical scope, the subject scope that is there. Then you write down the research methodology. How will you go about doing this study? What type of study it is there? What is the population? What is the sampling that you are going to use? What sampling technique? What are the limitations of your study? Also the organization of the study, tentative chapterization, the conclusion of your synopsis, and the references and bibliography in a particular format. Maybe you may be using the APA standard, and then you mention that also. So now the synopsis is done. Be very clear while preparing your synopsis and put it in a step-by-step approach. State your limitations also. Please follow time schedule and adhere to that time schedule. And this synopsis has to be submitted to the Faculty of Library Information Science, to the program coordinator MLIS, and you can also mail it to the faculty, to the program coordinator at the email ID ignoulis@gmail.com, ignoulis@gmail.com. This is where you can send your synopsis and you will get a response as early as possible, maybe ranging from a day to a week. You can get the response, and once you get the response means you have to get a response that your supervisor is approved, your synopsis is approved. Generally, at times response takes a time because you have not stated things clearly. You have seen, if you see the project guide, you will find that the format has been given as I told you, and also there are certain appendices that have been given. These appendices have to be filled up. You have to state a brief biodata of your guide and also all other details that are asked for, that is appendix 3, and you have to fill these, prepare a good synopsis as I told you, and then once this is approved, then you have to start working on your project as stated in your research methodology. You have to go in a systematic scientific way and follow all these steps that are there, and once you are done with it, you have collected the data, you may have collected the literature. In case it is a theoretical study, you analyze the data or the literature that you have collected, and then you prepare the findings, you use statistical techniques that are there, you prepare the findings and prepare the diagrams and graphs in case these are there, and write a conclusion, and now you prepare a report for it. And what should be the structure of a report? Starting with the title of the project work, attach the approved synopsis that has been approved by the faculty, attach a certificate of originality. You may like to attach acknowledgements, then table of contents, introduction, review of literature, objectives, scope, research methodology, limitation, data analysis and findings, conclusion, bibliography, index, appendices if any. It is a broad structure. You may rename your chapters as per your study and then submit this to the university. You have to submit to the student evaluation division. It is not to be sent to the faculty, it is to be sent to the student evaluation division, block 12, IGNOU Maidangadi. Please remember, at times students send the project report to the faculty. It is the synopsis that has to be sent to the faculty, not the project report. Now this report is evaluated, and there is an evaluation criteria that is followed to evaluate your project report. So please be sure that while the report is evaluated, it is evaluated from the point of view of the problem that you have selected, the the viability of the study, the your report is evaluated from the point of view of how sound your methodology was, how your review of literature was, and after the methodology, how you have the data that you have collected, what is the reliability and validity of those tools and the data both, and how you have handled the data and analyzed the data, and then how you have presented the report. All aspects have marks for it. Finally, if you also have appended an index and bibliography, marks for that is also there. How well you have presented overall, there are some marks for that also. So please be clear about the criteria for evaluation. So what you have done is evaluated on all these points. So starting from the problem, the how you have presented the objectives, how the objectives are achievable or not, how these objectives have been achieved or not, then research questions that you have seen, whether these have been fulfilled or not, then the methodology that you have used, the data collection tools and techniques, the sample and sampling methods that you have used, and then this data that you have collected, is it objectively done or not, is it biased, and then finally how you have handled this data, and then how you have presented the report that is there. Another very important issue is the issue of plagiarism. It is often seen that students see here and there and use that information that is available without acknowledging. They just take from there, copy it and paste it here. This is called plagiarism. This is unethical for research. Therefore, you should not resort to such unethical practices. It is also seen that people attach references and bibliography, but they have not cited in text the references. So references that you have given should not be too general. These should be very specific to what you have mentioned in the report. Therefore, you should have really consulted those, then only you should have mentioned these as references. And therefore, please check and ensure that it should not happen. You should also see the plagiarism, how to what extent it is there. It should be less than 10% to enable you to get good marks. And finally, when you have done everything, another important thing is that it should be bound well. At times it is seen that people do not bind it well. At times even the papers come out as loose sheets. You may lose out of that because when it reaches the evaluator, some of these pages may go out. Therefore, the overall format of the project should also be so that it remains intact. The person who is supposed to read it, the evaluator, gets a full copy of your project and the person reads it. So what we have discussed about the project is that this is something wherein you can apply your innovative skills, your critical thinking skills. You are able to imagine something and implement it, apply it. You can existing systems and suggest improvements in those. So this gives you a chance to study what is existing, how it can be improved, what are the areas for improvement, and suggest those small improvements. Mind you, this is not the research as such, it is preparing you for research in the future. So this is the first effort of your first effort towards research, which you will continue take further in years ahead. So I hope you have understood about the project. We'll take a short break, and after that we will discuss the internship component that has been introduced for you in the master's degree level. Good afternoon, friends. We are back after a short break. We were discussing MLIS project, that is MLIP-002, and we have seen there that project is a compulsory course as a component of the curriculum. It gives a flexibility and also a scope for us learners to design something, to study something, study existing systems or design new systems and come up with some new innovative ideas or critical analysis of those existing systems based on literature, based on maybe empirical research, based on surveying the respondents and coming out with some new suggestions or critical reviews of already existing systems. Now we'll be discussing yet another component of the MLIS curriculum, and that is internship, that is MLII 105. I think you would have seen the different course codes that are there, and this course code is for internship. And if you want to know about internship, you can visit our website www.ignou.ac.in, and therein you will see a link of eGyan course, wherein when you go to the link for internship, you will come to know that there is a standard operating procedure that has been given, and you click on the standard operating procedure, you will find a file that exists wherein all details about the internship have been given. Now, what is this internship and why internship? You know that our program, that is MLIS or even the bachelor's degree program, all these programs are professional in nature, and any professional program exists there to prepare young professionals for the field. Now, what is a professional? We are preparing professionals, so let us see what is a professional. Who is a professional? It is a person who has expertise in a particular area, a person possessing an expertise in a particular area, and based on an expertise, the person serves the society in that area based on that expertise. That expertise is based on a sound theoretical knowledge also. It is not just doing things, it is not just being able to work in that area. This ability that the person has to work in that area is based on a sound theoretical knowledge, and this sound theoretical knowledge one acquires by studying a course in a recognized institution like a university. Therefore, our bachelor's and master's degree programs that we offer prepare these young minds as professionals who further get into the profession of library information science and serve people to satisfy their information needs in different area, and while doing so they serve them by preparing different types of products and services, research in that area, and do creative designs in these areas to come up with the changing requirements, the changing environment of the society, the changing developments in different fields of knowledge, and also implementing different techniques and technology of information communication technology as well as the managerial techniques. Since this is a service sector, therefore we need to be always changing ourselves so as to best serve the patrons to whom we are answerable or to whom we are really serving. Now, while doing so, you have different type of courses which are theoretical and practical in nature, practice oriented also and practical also. So why these courses with practicals and practice? Because what we learn as theory we have to implement in our profession later on. So while studying here as part of the curriculum, we teach them hands-on skills also, which could be hard skills, and also we aim to teach our students, as in our curriculum, soft skills also. Now, internship is an added component in that direction. As I told you earlier also, that project is another extension of these efforts on our part to train our students to be good professionals, to appropriately find themselves in the real field. And internship is yet another component of our efforts to see that our students are comfortable while they enter the workplace. When they reach the workplace, generally it is seen that after the studies are over and people enter the workplace, they join a particular job, they find there is a gap. So this internship is aimed at overcoming that gap, to bridge that gap that exists, because all the things that we are supposed to do there, we have been taught here theoretically as well as practically, but really implementing those things is also something as an experience, as a knowledge, as skills that we have to learn, and this internship is an effort in that direction. Now, what is this internship? Internship means you are placed in an institution, you are placed in a library, you are placed in a library or information center. Maybe this library may not be a traditional library. As you know that there are different types of libraries these days, starting from the traditional libraries to the digital libraries, may even libraries attached to media houses, maybe to archives, to museums, and any other different type of institutional setting. You can work in any of these settings and work there for a certain period of time, get an exposure of how they work, what they work, and therefore get a feel of working in the workplace. And therefore this limited experience that you have will really help you later on to be comfortably working in the employment that you get as a result of your educational qualifications. Now let me get into the particular details of this internship. This is a compulsory course. This is for 4 credits for 100 marks. And while attending this course, you should be working in a center, in an institution, in an organization for 100 hours for 1 month. And this is, if you read the standard operating procedure, we have tried to guide you how to choose this library information center in which you would like to work. It is a matter of choice because there are different work settings. You can be working in a research and development institution like the Council of Scientific Industrial Research, as an example, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, or Indian Council of Medical Research. These could be one such example, one such area. That means the research and development organization, depending on your field of interest, whether it is medicine, sciences, technology, or it could even be agriculture and related technologies. So maybe you have a degree in that area, maybe you have an interest in that area, that in the future you may like to work in those areas. So you may choose these laboratories or these research institutions to work as interns there. Or if you like to work in academic settings, you may be applying for internship in some universities of your choice. Depending on your area of residence, you may choose some university which has a good standing, which has a good library information center. Why I am saying good, and how do you define good? Actually, we have tried to define it in the way that it may have at least 5,000 books. If you are talking of a college, because if you say 5,000, it is nothing for a university library. But why we have said 5,000, though it is not really a way of defining, because we just generally try to guide our students that you should avoid getting internship in a school library, particularly for Masters of Library Information Science students, because once you attain your master's degree with the minimum marks that is required, you are eligible to get employment in you're talking of an academic institution, in a college or a university. Therefore, it is better you are placed as an intern in one of these institutions. And these also, if in case it is possible for you in your geographical setting, or if your conditions allow, there are institutions of national repute like the Indian Institutes of Technology, Indian Institutes of Management, Indian Institute of Science Education and Research, like these institutions, or the colleges attached to other medical colleges or some such libraries, you can opt for these institutions to get your internship for 100 hours. Many IITs are taking our students as interns. So therefore, since these are advanced institutions, because they have the state of art technology with them, their users are so demanding that they are all the time improvising themselves. They have a lot of work pressure. So if you work in such institutions as interns, you will be able to see what is this work pressure, how you have to always work for the needs of the users, what these needs are, how these are always changing, and how do you really serve them in real life situations. Maybe you go and work on the reference desk and the user comes with reference queries. How do you handle these queries? What sources you use to answer these queries, and to what extent you can go while answering these queries? You cannot say no to your user. You have to somehow find a solution to the query, and therefore this is something which you experience is something very satisfying while you serve their user, very adventurous also. Therefore, we always advise you to go and work in libraries where these are the situations. So just by saying 5,000 books is not sufficient. You can very well judge now by my telling you that it should be a library where there is a challenge to work, where there are new things to know. Generally, when our students come to us, and we often see that some of our students may like to work in an NGO also, in a very small library somewhere, and the criteria for them to choose this library is because it is very near to their residence or something. That should not be a criteria. Therefore, choose such a library for that. Now, while choosing a library for that, how you have to go about the operationality. You have to get a letter from your regional center. Yes, you are a bona fide student of IGNOU, you are a student of MLIS, and therefore they try to, or the institution where you have to go for internship, you are identified, yes, you are a student of IGNOU, and you have to produce it to that institution. You tell them you want to undergo internship for this much time. You also have a copy of your standard operating procedure with you, so that you can tell them, yes, this is how we have to be trained, because we have very clearly specified what sort of training has to be given. Everything has been specified very clearly from first to last in our standard operating procedure. Keep a copy of SOP with you when you go to the institution to request for internship. Mind you, you are going to request them. It is not as a matter of right. At times it has been seen that the institutions tell you, yes, you please come next week, because our students keep going to the institutions for internship. Therefore, you have to wait for your turn at times. Therefore, we have written in our standard operating procedure that after you have taken admission, after you have attended some of your classes, let us say for a month or 2 or 3 months, then you should go for internship, because you have a feel of your curriculum. You know different courses that are there. You know different aspects of library information science, so that you now are you are prepared to learn. You are there. Yes, you can know about how to get this training in internship. Recently, 1 or 2 cases we saw that a student immediately after taking admission in the program is going for internship. Then you cannot be really utilizing the full potential of the learning that you can have in internship. You have to, if you are too raw, then this internship will not really help you. Therefore, we have mentioned that after 3 months or so of attending your courses, of going through the different course material, that you have a feel of different areas, and thus the internship will be really helpful to you. Now, as mentioned in the SOP, you will see that you have to attend 5 hours a day this internship for 1 month, and that makes it 100 hours. You should not, you should be very punctual, you should be very disciplined, you should not create any nuisance for the institution. That is very important in your part, and as mentioned, you have a specific time. I already mentioned to you, yes, there are different central universities, state universities, deemed universities, private universities, public libraries, institutions of national importance, and public libraries also under ministries, RRLF, National Library. Some of our students have also gone to the National Library at Kolkata, and other libraries like Defense Research and Development Organization, like the Indian Council of Social Science Research, or the National Science Library is there in India. So try to do at in institutions which are institutions of national repute. That gives you gives you a chance to really work and know the intricacies and developments in the profession that are there. That is very important. Now, once the institution agrees to take you an intern, always keep a copy of the standard operating procedure with you. The next is the workbook that is mentioned in the SOP, standard operating procedure. There is a workbook. For these 20 days and 5 hours every day, we have prepared a workbook for you. We have divided your internship into different aspects, starting from the operations and activities, to services, to automation, to digitization, to administration, to publication, everything. Like, we want you to learn operations and activities in the first week for 2 days. We want you to learn services for 3 days. We want you to learn for automation and digitization for 1 week each. We want you to learn administration for 3 days in the 4th week. We want you to learn publication activities for 2 days in the 4th week. So this is how we have distributed. For every day we have a column for you wherein what you have learned is validated by your supervisor. The institution where you undergo internship, they assign you a supervisor who will guide you through your internship. Here we are there to help you and guide you, and there in the institution there is a person to guide you through to your internship. The person is called a supervisor. So when you are doing your internship, it is under a supervisor who validates your everyday training in the form of by signing this workbook that is there. You have to maintain this workbook every day, and this document of this workbook, that everyday activity which is signed, authenticated by the supervisor, is to be pasted, is to be part of your report of internship. So it is a very important document. This is one thing. At times people say, our students say, sir, they are not taking interest in teaching. See, it is you, it depends on you. You have to learn. They are there to tell you, but the more inquisitive you are, the more you want to show, yes, the urge to learn, the more you learn. So it is the other way around. It is not the person to tell you, it is for you to take it from the person. Observe the person doing it. Observe different routines. Silently observe. Participate in that while you are doing it under the supervision. So this is how you learn. And they would also assign you some other jobs, but that you cannot say no. But your main thing is all these activities that we have mentioned under the SOP that you have. Now, after completing this 100 hours of internship, you have to prepare a report. Mind you, this workbook that you have for 100 hours and 1 month, this carries 30 marks. So what you have done, this part is for 30 marks, and the report that you prepare is for 70 marks. And if you open the standard operating procedure, we have given you a detailed structure of this report. If you see here on your screen, starting with an acknowledgement, because you have worked in an institution, you will give the acknowledgement to that institution and the supervisor also. You prepare an abstract for 200 words of this report. Then you give an introduction to this report. Then in the introduction, you can give an introduction to internship. You can give an introduction of the objectives of internship, and then the name of the institution. Then you start describing the different modules that you have learned. As I was telling you, starting with the operations, services, then automation, digitization, and the administration and publication. Then you describe the library from these points of view. Then what you have learned, the learning outcomes, conclusions, and suggestions. Give also appendices that you have collected while you were working. You may have photographs, you may have visuals, you may have some diagrams to attach to your report. So this makes a good report of around 5,000 words. And this is how your report is evaluated. If you see the criteria here on your screen, 30 marks for your workbook, 70 marks for your report. Out of these 70 marks, 5 marks are for introduction, 50 marks are for the modules that you have undergone training, 5 marks for your learning outcomes, and 10 marks for your conclusion, suggestions and presentation. Please note the minimum pass marks for internship is 50%. So if you score less than 50 out of 100, you will have to do the internship again. For whether you talk of the project or you talk of internship, minimum pass marks is 50%. Now let us come to the alternative to internship. We generally want our students to do internship because this is a chance that you otherwise do not get. Because once you are out of your studies, you start looking for jobs, or you may go in for research. Whether you go in for a job or even for research, I think this internship is really going to help you. Therefore, internship is always to be preferred. It is only in the rarest of the rare cases that one should miss this opportunity of doing internship. In case you have a genuine problem, then you can think of a alternative also. Now, what is this alternative that we have provided? It is called the term paper. You can write a term paper. Again, please remember this term paper carries 4 credits, 100 marks, and you have to devote at least 120 study hours. Now, what is this term paper? This is a paper that you have to write. This is a sort of a research paper, but this is called term paper because this is to be written in a particular term of your curriculum. That is why we call it a term paper. So this is not a real research paper, but this also is a training of doing research, and the output or product of this training is a term paper. Now this term paper, I will just give you a clue for this. How can you do such term paper? You all know that the courses like MLI 101, MLII 101, MLI 102, MLI E101 and MLI E102, and similarly MLI E103 and 104, you all have seminars in these courses. You are assigned a topic, or you choose a topic and you prepare a seminar for that. And one group prepares a seminar and does a presentation, the other group asks questions. This is how it is done at the study center. So this seminar for which you prepare, you can go further into that and write a term paper on that. So how do you do it? You choose a topic, and while you choose a topic, you think of the facets and sub-facets for that and do a extensive review of literature in that, and start thinking of how to write a paper on that. And the format of such paper should be, first of all, there should be an abstract for it. In the abstract, you should be able to tell what, why and how of this paper very briefly. Then you come to the introduction. And in case there is a problem that you can identify, you should mention that problem. In case there are questions that are there, you can do it. Otherwise, if it is a theoretical paper, you may not have these things. Then you may have objectives, then methodology. Then you have to write, in case of methodology, if it is a survey that you are doing, out of which you prepare a term paper, you can mention the methodology of this survey. If it is an experimental research, you can tell the methodology of the research. Or if it is a theoretical research, you should mention the methodology. Then you can talk of the results that are there, the presentation that is there, conclusions that are there, references and bibliography. So out of your research that you have done, starting with the presentation in the seminar, you have so many seminars in different courses. Out of these, one of these seminars you may consider of such a standing where you can go further into it and write a term paper on it. So this is how you can extend that seminar into a term paper. And please mind it that the structure of a term paper should be like any other research paper. You should be giving references, in-text references, and also references at the end, and follow it strictly as per some standard, and also see that it is balanced in all its contents. When we evaluate the term paper, again I would like to mention the criteria is 5 marks for the introduction, 5 for the statement of the problem, 5 for the questions in case these are there, these are required, 5 for aims and objectives, and similarly 5 for scope, and 10 for methodology, 10 and for 20 for presentation, and 10 for conclusion, and 5 marks for references. The minimum pass marks is 50%. So today we have discussed how and what, why and how of term paper, and those who opt for term paper would have seen that this is not easy. Some people avoid doing the internship thinking that term paper is the easier component of the two. While evaluating term papers of some of our students, we have seen that instead of writing term papers, they have just purely described certain things, or even at times in some extreme cases they have just copied and pasted some articles somewhere they found, they pasted as their own. This is plagiarism. This is unethical research which one should not follow. Please ensure that your term paper comes within the domain, within the limits of 10% plagiarism only. Beyond that it will not be agreed or it will not be evaluated. You will not get the pass marks that are expected. You be getting 50%. So you can very well understand the importance of these two aspects, that is the project and internship that we have, and you can score very good marks in these, and these are very beneficial in your further professional pursuits. So please be very serious about these and follow these instructions, and interact with your supervisor as well as the coordinator and other faculty. You have their email IDs with you. We are always there to help you and serve you. Thank you. Wish you all the best.